Three officers surrounded a black woman in a quiet parking lot, hoping to intimidate her. But what they didn't know was that the woman they cornered wasn't the easy target they thought she was. Because in the next few minutes, those officers would discover something they never expected. The parking lot behind the municipal building was nearly empty. Just a few scattered cars, the hum of distant traffic, and the soft click of heels as the black woman, Morgan Tate, walked toward her sedan. She wasn't in a hurry. She rarely was. Years in federal work had trained her to move with quiet awareness, to read shadows, to feel tension in the air before anyone else noticed it. Today, that tension hit her before she reached her door. A white patrol cruiser rolled in from the east entrance, then another from the south. A third eased in behind her vehicle, blocking the rear. The engines cut off almost in unison. Three white officers stepped out: Officer Blaine Carter, Officer Mark Renner, and Officer Thomas Hale. They didn't approach like men responding to a call. They approached like men following instructions. Morgan felt it instantly. She didn't stiffen, didn't panic, didn't act tough. She simply paused, her hand resting lightly on the door handle, her face composed and unreadable. Blaine was the first to speak, his boots crunching across the gravel. "Ma'am," he called out, not bothering with courtesy, "we're going to need to ask you a few questions." Morgan turned slowly. "About what?" "Routine check," Mark added, flanking her left side. "This your car?" "Yes." "You work around here?" Thomas asked, stepping to her right, completing the triangle around her. The formation alone told her everything. This wasn't curiosity. This wasn't protocol. This was a setup. Morgan answered calmly anyway. "I'm on my way home." Mark clicked his tongue. "We'll decide when you get to go home." Morgan didn't lift her chin or square her shoulders. She didn't show even a trace of the authority she carried. Instead, she kept her voice soft, almost tired. "Officers, I don't have time for random questioning today." Blaine smirked. "Well, lucky for you, we do." Morgan reached for her car door again, slowly, deliberately. "This isn't official business. I'm leaving." She wasn't wrong. Someone had sent these men. Someone wanted to rattle her because she was black, because she was FBI, and because using the law against a black federal agent was the easiest way to corner her without getting their own hands dirty. But Morgan didn't say any of that. She just pressed the unlock button, and Blaine grabbed her, his hand clamped around her forearm, yanking her back 2 full steps. His voice dropped to a growl. "We're not done here. You don't walk away from us. We're the law. What would you do if 3 officers surrounded you in a parking lot, armed, arrogant, and convinced you had no power?" Before we go further, what city or country are you watching from right now? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where our viewers are tuning in from. And if you believe badges shouldn't be used as weapons, smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc, because real justice doesn't bow to intimidation. Her balance shifted. Gravel slid beneath her heel, but her expression didn't change. She simply exhaled once, slow, steady. Blaine's grip tightened around Morgan's arm, the way a man holds someone he believes can't fight back. His fingers dug into her skin, dragging her slightly off balance as the other 2 officers closed in. Morgan didn't raise her voice. She didn't yank her arm. She didn't posture. She simply looked at Blaine with a quiet, controlled stare. "Let go of me." Mark stepped closer, hands on his belt. "You're acting nervous. Innocent people don't act nervous." Morgan's tone stayed level, almost gentle. "I'm not nervous. I'm tired, and I'm not engaging with questions that aren't official." Thomas chuckled behind her. "Hear that? She thinks she gets to choose." Morgan shifted her weight, not to fight, just to steady herself. "Officers, whatever you're looking for, you're not going to find it here. I suggest you step aside." Blaine leaned in, his breath hot with arrogance. "No, sweetheart, you don't get to suggest anything." His fingers slid higher up her arm, tightening. "You'll answer what we ask." Morgan inhaled slowly through her nose, her voice still soft. "Back off, before you regret it." All 3 of them burst into laughter, hard, mocking, mean-spirited laughter that echoed across the empty parking lot. Mark slapped Blaine on the shoulder. "What's she gonna do?" He tilted his head. "You see how small she is?" Thomas tapped his holster. "We're armed. You're outnumbered." He shifted his stance and stepped even closer. Then, suddenly, his hand shot upward, clamping hard around her throat. The grip was fast, rough, designed to intimidate. Morgan's head tilted back slightly from the force, but she made no sound. Her breathing compressed beneath his palm, yet she didn't claw at him or panic. Her hands remained at her sides. Thomas whistled low. "Damn, Blaine. Go easy. She might pass out." Blaine squeezed harder, his eyes glinting with cruelty. She wants to act like she's above us? Then let's see what she does now. He lifted her slightly, forcing her to look him in the eyes. What now, huh? He taunted. What are you going to do now? For a moment, just a heartbeat, Morgan stayed still. Then she inhaled. A deep, controlled, measured breath that came from a place none of them could understand. A place that signaled the end of their illusion of power. That single breath was the only warning they never saw. Blaine felt her chest expand beneath his hand, but before he could process it, Morgan's right hand snapped upward with surgical speed, her fingers locking around his wrist. Not wildly, not angrily. Precisely. Her thumb pressed into a pressure point he didn't even know existed. Blaine's smirk twitched. His voice cracked. What the? Morgan's left hand rose next, sliding under his elbow. Her body dipped ever so slightly, and then she moved. In one clean motion, she twisted. Blaine's wrist torqued sideways, forcing his arm to bend in a direction it absolutely shouldn't have. His grip snapped open instantly, his hand flying off her throat as a sharp cry tore from his mouth. Ah, hey! Before he could recover, Morgan dropped her weight and pivoted, flipping him over her hip. His boots lifted clear off the ground. The world spun. Then Blaine hit the pavement. Hard. Air slammed out of his lungs in a single painful gasp. Mark's jaw dropped. What the? He lunged, too slow. Morgan glided past him, her foot sweeping across the asphalt in a low arc that hooked the inside of his ankle. Mark's feet flew out from under him. He crashed spine first onto the pavement, groaning as his breath scattered into the cold air. Thomas froze. He had taken one step forward and halted. His eyes flicked from Blaine, writhing on the ground, to Mark clutching his ribs, to Morgan standing tall, her breathing steady, not a hair out of place. This wasn't a scuffle. This wasn't luck. This was training, the kind they had never seen before. Morgan didn't wait for him to decide. She moved. Her steps were quiet, controlled, almost gliding. Thomas panicked and swung wildly, but she sidestepped effortlessly, her hand cutting through the air and striking his forearm with a precision blow. His fingers instantly went numb. The baton he had pulled clattered uselessly to the ground. She caught his wrist, twisted sharply, and drove him backward into the hood of the nearest cruiser. His breath burst out of him in a choked grunt as she pinned his arm behind his back. Don't move, she said calmly. With one smooth motion, Morgan used Thomas's own cuffs to restrain him, then turned and cuffed Mark while he whimpered through clenched teeth. Blaine, still on the ground, tried to crawl away. She stepped onto his wrist, applying just enough pressure to freeze him in place before locking him in restraints too. 3 officers, all armed, all beaten in under 30 seconds. Morgan straightened her jacket, her hands steady as stone. The parking lot fell silent, except for the low groans of the 3 cuffed officers spread across the pavement. Morgan stood over them, not triumphant, not angry, just composed. Her breathing had already returned to its natural rhythm. She pulled her phone from her pocket and dialed a number she knew by muscle memory. "Dispatch," a voice answered. "This is Agent Morgan Tate, Federal Bureau of Investigation," she said evenly. "Badge number 74219. I need immediate units at the municipal lot behind Building C. I have 3 officers detained for assaulting a federal agent. They're armed. Send a supervisor." The line went quiet for half a second. Then, "Copy, Agent Tate. Units en route." Morgan ended the call and knelt beside Blaine, whose face was twisted with a cocktail of pain and disbelief. Mark groaned from a few feet away. "We didn't know you were FBI." "That was never the problem," Morgan replied. "The problem was, you thought you could intimidate a black woman using a badge, and you thought no one would hold you accountable." Before either man could answer, sirens rose in the distance. Not frantic, controlled, purposeful. Multiple patrol cars turned into the lot, tires crunching over the gravel as uniformed officers spilled out. Lieutenant Ramirez stepped forward first. "Agent Tate?" he called, recognizing her immediately. Morgan rose smoothly to her feet. "These 3 officers confronted me without cause. They attempted to detain me unlawfully. One assaulted me physically." Her tone never wavered. Ramirez's jaw tightened as he looked down at the restrained men. "Remove their weapons and take them into custody." 2 officers moved in, retrieving firearms, radios, and duty belts. Thomas attempted to protest, but Ramirez cut him off with a single raised hand. "You're done, all of you." Ramirez approached her. "Agent Tate, I'm sorry you went through this." She nodded once. "Do your job. I'll file my report." He nodded back. As the officers guided the arrested men into separate vehicles, a sharp truth cut through the morning air. When you try to weaponize the law against the wrong woman, you end up in handcuffs instead. If you believe the law should protect people, not be used to bully them, smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc for more stories that shine a light on real justice.